Welcome to r/off my chest, where OP discovers that his abusive father is actually a massive loser. Our next Reddit post is from Responsible Courts. I'm a 29-year-old guy. I'm fit, I run ultramarathons. I'm sober, and I've spent most of my life walking on eggshells around my father. He fights with everyone, his brother, his friends, his coworkers, and he's physically abused me in the past. He punched me in the head when I was a kid. It's not just the aggression, it's the neglect. In 29 years, we've never had a single one-on-one father-son conversation. Not once. Whenever I try to speak to him, even about normal, everyday things, he shuts me down. He refuses to make eye contact with me and is constantly avoidant. Because of this, I stopped seeing him as a father a long time ago. To me, he's just a stranger I live with. Tonight, the power went out because the cats tripped over a wire. It was an accident. My father is currently very sick and physically weak, but he went into a rage. He started screaming at my sister and me, demanding that we go out at midnight to buy an extension cord. I tried to de-escalate. I told him to calm down. He got in my face. Then he tried to punch me. In the past, I would have cowered. But tonight, something switched. I didn't punch him back, but I pushed him away to protect myself. Because he's weak, he fell down. I expected to feel horror or guilt. Instead, I felt nothing. Actually, I felt good. I realized I wasn't scared of him anymore. I looked at him on the floor and asked, "It's been so long since you've been like this. What kind of father are you?" He looked at me and said, "So what?" He told me to get the F out of his house. My mom and sister told me to leave just to let things cool down. I walked out, but I eventually came back in to sleep because I have nowhere else to go. He's hiding in his room now, silent. I think he realized that the physical intimidation card he used for 29 years has finally expired. He knows I could hurt him if I wanted to, and he knows I saw him fall. I'm glad tonight happened. The monster in my head is gone. He's just a bitter landlord now. Also, for clarity, OP lives in Malaysia, where OP explains in their culture it's very common for unmarried children to live with their parents into their late 20s or 30s. So it's not mooching or weird, it's the family norm here. Down in the comments, we have this story from Jesus Antonio Martinez. My dad was much like yours. The day the abuse stopped, I was 16. He tried to start an argument about a gay pride parade on TV, and I told him I didn't want to get into it. He flipped the dinner table over and came after me. I grabbed a butcher knife off the counter and told him he was never going to touch me again. He said that I wouldn't stab him, but he stayed out of range. He started taunting me, telling me that I wouldn't always have a weapon handy. I said, "Maybe, but you have to sleep sometime, mother effer." And he smiled at me and told me I was tougher than my older brothers because they never stood up to him. He was effing proud that he had turned me into a vicious, violent butthole like him. The first time he met my now wife, he took a swing at me when I tried to turn down the stereo during dinner. By that point, I'd been doing boxing and kickboxing for 15 years. I swatted his arm down, leaned in, and told him if he ever raised his hand to me again, I'd forget he was a pathetic old man. He put his head down and kept eating. I turned the music down. He died years ago, and if he had a grave, I'd piss on it monthly. Our next Reddit post is from Fall Dull. I'm in the entertainment industry, and I'm moderately successful, mostly behind the scenes, known for my dry humor. Once, years ago, at an after-party to an industry event, I happened to be sharing drinks with Justin Bieber. It was a large group. I'm not a big deal. He jokingly complained about how unnerving it was for people to shout his own name at him in public, and how he hated the whole Bieber fever thing when he was younger. And I said he should have changed his name to Muhammad Bieber so that people would stop. And he rightly pointed out that his last name was still Bieber, so I said to change it to Muhammad. Note, this joke has nothing to do with the prophet, but the fact that Muhammad is the most popular name in the world. The next day, my manager told me that Justin had asked if I was slightly mentally challenged. Not in those words, he worded it very sweetly. Or a savant. I submitted the whole thing as a sketch to a very popular comedy show, and was told that certain individuals had found it hilarious, but completely unproducible. Picture white suburban women in the middle of a global war of terror shouting, "Muhammad, Muhammad!" Also, people would assume that it was about the prophet and just not get it. Honestly, OP, I think it's a pretty good joke. It's especially sad that Bieber didn't understand that it's a joke because changing the first name wouldn't actually solve the problem. It would just be stupid and pointless, which is funny. It is. OP, you do have a very dry sense of humor. I like it. Our next Reddit post is from Muted Knowledge. My entire life, I was just with mom. My dad was never in my life. My entire life, I was told by my mom and her whole family that dad was a deadbeat piece of trash who ran away after mom got pregnant with me. My entire life, she and her family would talk trash about him the entire time. They made him seem like the absolute worst person ever, and I believed them because he was never in my life. But a few months ago, I got really curious. I've been curious about my dad for a few years now, but honestly, after I saw a TikTok about someone in my same situation, I got really curious and got his identity from mom. And it was really easy finding him on Facebook. He looked like an older version of me. It was so weird. He's a lawyer and he's married with 4 kids who are all younger than me. It took me a few days, but I messaged him with a long message. I introduced myself and told him who my mom is and that I was his son. Half an hour later, he responded and he was actually so excited. He asked to FaceTime me and I accepted. He started crying when he saw me and his face was so red. I asked if he knew about me, and he said that my mom told him she miscarried me. They were together when they got pregnant with me, and they had many issues together, but he wanted to stay because of me. He said she was so toxic, and her family too. He kept crying and apologizing for not being in my life, and he kept repeating that he thought that I didn't make it. He even said how much I looked like him at my age, and he asked to meet me in person. And when I did, he hugged me so tight, I almost choked. He's now obsessed with me, and honestly, I am with him. He introduced me to his family and friends, and he likes introducing me as his boy. He even paid off all my student loans without me asking him to. He just asked if I had any, and he paid them all off. He said he's saving for all of his kids, so it's only fair if he did it for me too. I love him so effing much already, and I hate that I missed out on him my entire life. He even took me last minute on his family's holiday vacation back on Christmas. He talks to me every day now, even though he's a lawyer and he's super busy, but he keeps making time for me every day. And now, ever since I met him, I've been avoiding my mom. I honestly hate her of depriving me of him my entire life and lying about him my entire life. We've honestly had so many issues recently, and this was just the last straw for me. She keeps calling and trying to talk to me, but I don't answer her. I don't want to talk to her anymore. She robbed me of an entire lifetime of my dad. Also, for clarity, OP is 23. I genuinely believe that this type of thing should be illegal. Probably under the same category as kidnapping, right? Because if a mom just takes the kid and runs off with the kid, then that counts as kidnapping from the father's point of view. I don't really know how you legislate it exactly because, having the law get involved with people's relationships is kind of awkward. But in my opinion, this mom belongs in jail. That might be kind of an extreme opinion, but I think this type of thing is really horrific, personally. Our next Reddit post is from Firmboat. My husband was killed by a drunk driver in October 2025. He was my best friend in my entire world and had been since I was 15. I've truly never lived a life without him. We were separated for 5 months between May to about 3 weeks before he died. And we still did just about everything the same, besides couple things and living together. We had just gotten back together and things were looking up when I got the call. Anyways, a month after the accident, I got a message on Facebook from a woman saying she's pregnant and it was my husband's baby. I didn't know how to respond, but we ended up meeting and she said that her and my husband had a one-night stand. Now, if she isn't lying and the baby is his, then that would mean that we were not separated at the time. And for some reason, I have hope that it is his. Now, that sounds insane, but we separated because he had a midlife crisis after I was done trying to have a baby. We'd been trying for 18 years, and I'd done 4 rounds of fertility treatments, and after my 4th miscarriage, I couldn't do it anymore. He wanted to do 1 more round, but mentally, I couldn't do another round. He had this midlife crisis, and we fought constantly, then decided to take some time apart. Now, all I can think about is if this baby is his, then at least one of his dreams came true. Then there's a mini him out there changing the world just like we dreamed of. He can't come back, but his legacy can still move forward. Our next Reddit post is from AdFlashy. For the past year and a half, I've had a gym bro. He's a jacked 63-year-old. I'm 21. We hit it off almost immediately. He seemed like a genuinely great guy. Supportive, wise, the kind of person you have deep, meaningful life talks with between sets. We became friends. But there was always this vibe. You know that tiny voice in the back of your head that you try to silence because you think you're being judgmental? I had that. Something about the way that he navigated conversations felt off. I couldn't put my finger on it, so I ignored it. Last week, he asked for my number so we could coordinate our workouts and keep in touch. He texted me the day after, and something didn't sit right. The tone of his messages felt invasive, so I decided to do a quick Google search of his full name. I was not prepared for what came up. The first page of Google was filled with news articles from 2005. He wasn't just a nice guy. He was a former educator who was sentenced to 18 years in prison for committing sodomy and predatory acts against dozens of teenage boys, 7th and 8th graders, using his position of power. He got out early for good behavior, but even while on leave in 2017, he was caught in a sting operation talking to what he thought was a 14-year-old boy. It turns out he was talking to a predator hunter. I feel physically ill. I feel betrayed. For a year and a half, I let this man into my life. I shared things with him. I trusted him. Now I realize that every deep talk was likely part of a script that he's been perfecting for decades. He texted me today. I haven't replied. I'm currently ghosting him, but I'm terrified of the next time I have to walk into that gym and see his face. I feel like I've been groomed in plain sight. How can I handle seeing him without losing my mind? I'm really dying to know what these subtle cues are, because how does someone talk like a P word? I don't know the answer to that question. Is it just invasive questions? Is that the giveaway? Also, OP, don't be too hard on yourself. Like, you always hear those interviews of people who live next door to, a murderer or whatever, and they're like, oh, he just seemed like a normal, nice guy. It's really hard to sense that someone's off about someone just from normal conversations with them. Honestly, it seems like you're ahead of the curve, if anything, because you detected that something was wrong imperceptibly, and a lot of people can't detect that type of thing. OP, if I were you, I would report this to the gym, especially if teenage boys or younger visit that gym, and then I'd probably switch gyms. Our next Reddit post is from Dyke and Inventor. I feel like such an idiot. I've been watching too many passive income gurus on social media who make it look easy to start a clothing brand. I convinced myself I could flip high quality basics for a huge profit if I just bought direct from the factory. I dipped into our savings account, money that we were saving for a trip in the summer. I bought $1,500 worth of luxury blank tracksuits in Alibaba. In my head, I was going to sell them for $80 a pop and triple our money before she even noticed the withdrawal. The boxes came yesterday while she was at work. I opened one up and my heart sank. They're garbage. Thin, see-through, stitching falling apart. They're completely worthless. There's no brand, no business, just a pile of cheap polyester rags. I panicked and shoved all the boxes into the back of the garage behind the holiday decorations and covered them up. Every time she mentions the vacation, I feel like throwing up. I have to figure out how to replace that money before she looks at the statement. But right now, I'm just a guy with a garage full of unwearable clothes and a massive secret. OP, I don't know what the game plan here was, because even if they were high quality, how are you going to sell them? You need some kind of social media presence or a storefront or something. And you spent $1,500 without buying one product just to test it out to see if it was going to go anywhere, instead of buying just one product to see what the quality was like? OP, I think this business of yours was doomed to fail due to the CEO being kind of a dum-dum. Dude really thought he could buy luxury goods on Alibaba, following advice of a TikTok passive income guru. I don't want to be too harsh on you, OP. It sounds like you learned your lesson. It's just, man, could you possibly be more cliche here? Our next Reddit post is from Sad Wife Throwaway. My husband likes to drink sometimes, but I am at a breaking point. We had a few friends over for the Super Bowl. We had a lot of food, some beer and wine. It was basically like any other party you've probably been to. but my husband didn't really eat much. Instead, he drank beer, like a ton. By halftime, I'm guessing he had like 7 to 8 blue moons. And honestly, he was being fun. Made jokes during the commercials, was a good time. Guests laughed. I thought nothing of it. But as the game neared its end, it was clear he was pretty drunk. His jokes weren't as funny. He had a slur in his speech. And then he insisted on doing shots with our neighbor. And then I couldn't believe what happened next. He got really quiet for a bit after taking 3 shots and was just sitting on the couch. There were like 6 of us on the couch, it's a sectional, and a few people standing. Out of nowhere, he lifts his leg a bit and lets out a loud fart that immediately turns wet. And I mean, it was so obvious that he was pooping himself. He literally groaned a bit at the end. Everyone was horrified, as was I, and he just goes, "Sorry," and gets up. He went to shower and passed out after. Everyone left immediately after that. These were friends of ours. I've been avoiding my phone. I don't want to see what the texts say. What do I say to him? It's been 3 days. He acts like nothing happened. I don't think he remembers. Super Bowl party? More like Super Bowel party. OP, sounds like your husband has a drinking problem. We've all been drunk before. Well, just about all of us anyways, all the adults. But I've never been so drunk that I poop myself in the middle of a party. That was r/off my chest. And if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit episodes every single day.